What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Classic Chronicles. I hope everybody enjoyed their weekend and is ready to conquer the week that is. And man, summertime is in full effect, and that can only mean one thing: AEW's annual summer kickoff events, Forbidden Door, which went down last night as I'm recording this. At the at, at the UBS Arena on Long Island. Oh man, and what an incredible show it was, man. Forbidden Door has been going on for the last 3 years, and it always has delivered. I mean, remember back to past Forbidden Doors, man. You had Omega versus Ospreay, MJF versus Tanahashi, man. Just a whole lot of pay-per-view main events anywhere in the world, but they took place at Forbidden Door, and this year was no different. Did not have its shortage of moments and amazing matches, man. So we're just gonna get right to it, man. So on the 0 hour, which is the kickoff show, to kick things off, you had former Ring of Honor World Television Champion Kyle Fletcher taking on Serpentico, and it was just a squash match. I mean, Serpentico is really not is just used as an enhancement talent in AEW, and then Kyle Fletcher actually came off a loss, losing his Ring of Honor World Television Championship in Mexico this past Friday, and then having to work Forbidden Door on Sunday without it. So yeah, so a little bit of a squash match there. Nothing to write home about. Of course, Kyle Fletcher picked up the win. And then next up on the pre-show, it was the House of Black defeating Kyle O'Reilly and Ishii, Gabe Kidd and Roderick Strong, and Private Party in a fatal four-way tag team match. Lots of fun here. Private Party is always fun to watch, and Kyle O'Reilly and Ishii, they make a really good, fun, but hard-hitting team. And of course, the House of Black, always huge fans of theirs. Brody King and Malachi Black. Of course, Buddy Matthews wasn't with him because he got married this week to Rhea Ripley. So yeah, he wasn't at the show, and I believe Julia Hart is injured. But then what do you call it? You had then there was a women's tag team match. Willow Nightingale and Tam Nakano defeated Chris Statlander and Momo Watanabe. Those girls just tore the house down, all four of them. Man, it was a really fun match. And of course, Willow Nightingale is going to face Chris Statlander in the Owen Hart tournament this week on AEW Dynamite. And then speaking of the Owen Hart tournament, you had some first round action there on the women's side of things. Mariah May defeated Saraya. And Toni Storm was out with Mariah May, congratulating her. I got a feeling that those two are going to be facing off for the AEW Women's World Championship at All in London. So that's going to be interesting to see where that goes. And then in the main event of the 0 hour, you have the Lucha Brothers and Mystico, known as the original Sin Cara for all the WWE fans. What do you call it? Defeating LIJ. It was Hiromu Takahashi, Titan, and I forgot the third guy in LIJ. Man, but yeah, that was a really fun match. Those Ray Phoenix, Mystico, and Penta, man, they tore the house down, man. It was absolutely insane. All six of those men tore the house down, man. So it was a fun pre-show. 5 matches on the pre-show, just to get the crowd hot for the main card, and what a main card it was. So kicking off the main card of Forbidden Door, you had MJF taking on CMLL Star, the mad scientist Hechicero. So what do you call it, man? The Hechicero, of course, worked the arm of MJF, which was a target because, as y'all may remember, if you watch AEW, MJF worked with a torn labrum, and that's how he lost the AEW World Championship 6 months prior in the same building at World's End to Samoa Joe, and Hechicero knew that, so he took advantage of it. But in the end, MJF was able to pick up the win against him and celebrate at home. Cool, because MJF is from Long Island, so he was able to celebrate at home. Next, you had a 6-man tag team matchup. The elite, the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada taking on the Acclaimed and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Again, another fun matchup, man. And Max Caster cut one hell of a freestyle on the Young Bucks and on the Elite, I should say, before the match. If you have a chance to go back and find that, I suggest you listen to it if you enjoy Max Caster's freestyles as much as I do. It's hilarious. But yeah, so that was another fun match. But Kazuchika Okada ended up pinning Hiroshi Tanahashi to pick up the win for the Elite. Next up, it was some more action in the Owen Hart tournament as the American Dragon Bryan Danielson took on the Japanese Dragon Shingo Takagi. Oh man, and what a war it was, man. That match was advertised to be great, and it could have been the main event of the show, but man, it delivered nevertheless, man. If you watch AEW, you know that this is Bryan Danielson's final year as a full-time wrestler, and he's just having fun out there, and that's exactly what it's about when you're in that wrestling ring, man. Just having fun, and you're hanging up when it's not fun anymore. Anyway, but man, these two went to war, but Bryan Danielson ended up picking up the win over Shingo Takagi to advance in the Owen Hart tournament, and he will face the Bastard Pack in the next round this Wednesday night at Dynamite Beach Break in Chi-Town. So looking forward to that matchup too. Next up, the AEW Women's World Championship was being defended as the aforementioned Toni Storm took on Mina Shirakawa of Stardom, and this was a very interesting match because Mariah May is currently the protege of Toni Storm, but also a best friend and former tag team partner of Mina Shirakawa in Stardom. So she was quite torn to see her best friend and her mentor go at it, but in the end, Toni Storm was able to retain the AEW Women's World Championship, and all's well that ends well, man. They all walked out, all three hand in hand together. It was fun, and Toni Storm paid homage with a Statue of Liberty-esque entrance as she was coming out to defend her championship. So that was pretty cool to see. Next up, it was another very, very fun matchup. Orange Cassidy taking on Zack Sabre Jr. Now, Zack Sabre Jr. is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, man. That man can destroy you on the mat. If you have an injured body part, he will find it and he will take advantage of it. And Orange Cassidy, don't let the stupid gimmick don't let the stupid pocket hands in the pocket gimmick fool you, man. Orange Cassidy can go, and we proved it tonight and against Zack Sabre Jr. But in the end, Zack Sabre Jr. ended up making Orange Cassidy tap out in a very, very good match. Next up, you had a 6-man tag featuring Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Jeff Cobb taking on Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Hook. Hook ended up beating Chris Jericho with a Judas effect, which is a back elbow, and that is Chris Jericho's own move. So essentially, Hook beat Chris Jericho with his own move, which was, I thought, was a really fun element to that match. But it was a good match. Jeff Cobb is a powerhouse, a brick house. I would love to see him in AEW full time one day when his New Japan contract expires. And next up, you had a ladder match for the vacated TNT Championship as what do you call it? Mark Briscoe, Leo Rush, Dante Martin, Konosuke Takeshita, El Fantasma, and the scapegoat Jack Perry representing the Elite all fought in a hellacious ladder match for the vacated TNT Championship, once held by Adam Copeland, who is currently injured with a broken fibula. He broke his fibula back at Double or Nothing in that cage match with Aleister Black, with Malachi Black, I should say. Oh my God. And he's currently recuperating. So the TNT Championship was vacated and won by the scapegoat Jack Perry. It was like lots of fun car crash spots in this match, as you'd expect from a six-way ladder match. It was just a ton of fun, man. And yeah, so Jack Perry is your new TNT champion. Next up, you had Stephanie Vaquer of CMLL and New Japan defending her New Japan Strong Women's Openweight Championship against Mercedes Moné, who also put the TBS Championship on the line. So it was a winner-take-all match, and despite Stephanie Vaquer's best efforts, Mercedes Moné was able to pick up the win and become the new New Japan Open Women's World Champion. But that wasn't all that happened. That wasn't all that happened. After the match, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who's been on the show for quite some time with an injury, came back and stared Mercedes Moné down. So there's definitely going to be a match between those two in the future, and I can't wait to see it. It was also announced that on January 5th, 2025, in addition to Wrestle Kingdom, which is New Japan's, the equivalent of WrestleMania for New Japan, they would also be holding Wrestle Dynasty, which takes the place of New Year's Dash, which is the event after Wrestle Kingdom on the next day. But this year it'll be the first ever Wrestle Dynasty, and it'll feature stars from CMLL, AEW, New Japan, and Ring of Honor and Stardom. So it's gonna be a very, very good show, and I'm very excited to see how that turns out. Okay, so in your co-main event, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship was on the line as Jon Moxley defended against Tatsuya Naito, the leader of Los Ingobernables de Japón. So what do you call it? These two had a rivalry. Jon Moxley actually took the IWGP Heavyweight Championship from Tatsuya Naito earlier this year, and Tatsuya Naito was hell bent on getting it back, and that he did after a war with Jon Moxley, because when you're in there with Jon, you know you're gonna have to go through a war, and these two did, and it was a hell of a match. And then in your main event, saw Swerve Strickland successfully defend the AEW World Championship against Will Ospreay, man. And what an insane match it was, man. Lots of false finishes, lots of suspense and drama, and especially at the end where Don Callis was telling Will Ospreay to use the screwdriver to kind of take the championship from Swerve, but he didn't want to use it, and that essentially cost him. And Swerve ended up picking up the win, and he remains your AEW World Champion. It'll be interesting to see if he is the champion going into AEW All in London, and what do you call it? And especially with the return of Hangman Page looming, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Swerve and Hangman are have one hell of a rivalry, and it'll be interesting to see where the next chapter goes, considering Swerve now holds the AEW World Championship. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. And as for Will Ospreay, man, he's got an international championship title defense this Wednesday on Dynamite against Daniel Garcia. And I can't wait for that matchup. But man, all in all, great show. AEW always delivers on pay-per-view, no matter how bad people may find the TV product. The pay-per-view is always solid. So next up is AEW All in London, where. But before that, you do have Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor, which takes place at the end of July. But yeah, for AEW, it's All in London at the end of August. August 25th. So that is gonna do it for this episode of the Classic Chronicles. Like, subscribe, share. Don't forget to hit that notification button so you don't miss a video. And I, of course, will see you guys on the next one. Peace.